When I was a kid, watching ESPN and SportsCenter was literally one of the most important parts of my day. Whether I was hoping to catch the top 10 plays before school or waiting later in the day for them to talk about my favorite team or sport, they were always a big part of my daily routine. Because there really wasn't anyone at the time making sports content on YouTube, places like ESPN and a few others were the only ones actually discussing sports at a decently high level. There also weren't websites like Basketball or Football Reference that can tell you any stat you could possibly think of. If you wanted to see unique stats or just quickly see highlights and box scores, then you would turn on the TV. I was only born in 2001, so there are several people that are older than me that can relate even more to what I'm saying. For the most part, these shows were serious, highlighting the best teams and players while still being entertaining and educational. As dumb as it may sound, it's honestly a big reason I fell in love with sports. They just felt so real. But the reason I bring all that up is because we've gotten to a point where modern day sports shows are simply unwatchable. I'm not saying that era I grew up in was perfect, but it wasn't nearly as toxic as it is now. Instead of talking about what's going on from league to league, they recycle the same subjects and the same stupid takes, just hoping to create a clip that gets a couple thousand likes on Twitter. I'm way more tuned into the basketball world than anything else, so that's where most of my examples are gonna come from, but it's really the exact same thing in every sport. All these shows do is hate on anything and everything while spreading nothing but negativity. Even if you don't watch any of these shows I'm talking about, you're forced to see their awful segments on social media. It feels like every day I scroll through Twitter, I say to myself, that's the dumbest take I've ever seen in my life. They rather use clickbait and negativity to gain the attention of little kids on the internet than actually talk about sports. I really tried to watch one of these shows the other day, and the first two topics were both about LeBron, not even basketball related by the way, and the third was about how Patrick Mahomes was overrated. Yeah, really hard-hitting stuff there. ESPN at this point just feels like a bunch of older people trying way too hard to fit into a younger crowd.
How do you do, fellow kids?
What?
When you see Skip Bayless's face, you already know he's gonna say the complete opposite of whoever he's talking to. When you see Stephen A. Smith, you know he's gonna say a lot of words without really saying anything at all. And when you see Kendrick Perkins, you already know whatever he's gonna say is gonna make you a less intelligent human being. I could go on and on like that with several different analysts, but you get the point. We've come to expect the most idiotic takes from the biggest names in sports media.
Fate of the universe on the line, or the Martians have the death beam pointed at Earth, you better hit it. I want Iguodala.
We used to have guys like Stuart Scott who every day was able to make you appreciate sports, but now it's becoming the complete opposite. We live in a world where we have access to more highlights and stats than ever before, and it's gotten to a point where the fans are now way more knowledgeable about the sport than these so-called analysts. It also doesn't help that these analysts are talking about multiple sports at the same time. It's hard to keep up with everything going on in a single sport, but these guys in one show were talking about football, baseball, basketball, hockey, cricket, bobsledding, and whatever sport they can throw a hot take at. Don't get me wrong, there are still good shows out there, but they aren't the mainstream media and they don't get nearly the platform some of these other shows are getting. The analysts that get paid the most money do zero research on the topics they're covering, although most of what they talk about doesn't even need research. Every segment has an agenda behind it. They literally don't know how to talk highly about a player without bringing another player down. It's honestly impressive how terrible these shows have gotten. They can take something like winning a championship and somehow turn it into a negative. Or someone could score 3,000 points in a single game and they'll say, well, Jordan would have had 4,000. Then after that, they'll call the player that just scored 3,000 points in a single game overrated. Everything these days is about who's better, and everyone is constantly comparing players that are different positions from a whole different era. Steph Curry had one of the craziest performances I've ever seen during the Olympics, and instead of saying how good he played, they immediately started talking about who's better between him and Magic Johnson. Team USA literally won the gold medal, and in the same day the talk shows are saying the team isn't that good. They aren't even trying to hide it anymore. They are dead set on a gimmick that nobody thinks is funny or cool. People will take a team sport and somehow make it all about one player. player. They just say whatever they want to try to fit the narrative they're trying to push. But the real worst part about this whole situation is the fact that the attention-seeking hot takes are bleeding into actual sports conversations, especially on social media. But I've never understood why people care so much about other people's opinions when it comes to who is a better player. Everyone has their own opinion whether you think it's right or wrong. There's no point in comparing or ranking any of these guys. Why can't we just appreciate these athletes and move on? It's like the Jordan and LeBron GOAT debates. Those conversations are the definition of brain rot. Jordan fans just scream out 6 rings over and over, while LeBron fans do everything they can to discredit the eras that came before LeBron. There's people out there defending LeBron or Jordan like it's a 9-to-5 job. It's 2024, it's time to move on to another topic. They're spending their entire day on the internet hating on a man that doesn't even know they exist. No, you're not a troll, you're a weirdo. Kobe Bryant tweeted this in 2018 and it's still relevant to this day. Everything that is toxic about NBA Twitter is a byproduct of what is being shown on TV. When hot take culture first started becoming popular, NBA Twitter was actually really funny, and at the end of the day you knew everyone was just joking around. But today, these people will catch a bullet over some of the worst takes you can imagine, and once you start talking sense to them, they just start insulting you. Even those big accounts like Hoop Central will post the most clickbait or ragebait posts to get a bunch of engagement. Those analysts that you see on TV are a big reason of why this whole thing started, but these accounts on the internet that have massive followings are doing the same thing. It's like that Dove or Dove account on Twitter. That dude will show you a video of a quarterback making a routine checkdown in practice and caption it something like, "This guy's gonna be the next Patrick Mahomes." These people don't believe the stuff that they're saying. They only say it because they know it's going to get a reaction and it might make them a couple quarters. Everything about the media makes sports look like an absolute joke. What's even worse is this topic gets talked about to death, yet these companies are like, are we the problem? No. I was gonna go into specific takes that these guys have made, but I don't think I really need to. If you've made it this far into the video, then you already know how bad they are. If you want examples, there are hours and hours of awful takes that these people have made all over YouTube. But to wrap up this whole rant, I just want to say I don't blame regular sports fans for acting the way they do. If these mainstream shows made it popular to give players praise and actual critiques when it's necessary, then social media would follow suit. Instead, people are seeing what the pros are doing on TV and attempting to do the same thing with their own platform. I honestly feel bad for the kids growing up today. Sports are just full of hate and negativity, while corporate greed is becoming the standard for everything. If it wasn't for YouTube content creators, then sports media would basically be dead already. They're the ones keeping it alive. You can learn more from watching one Jimmy High Roller video than you could in a year of watching First Take or something like that. Believe it or not, ESPN, you can actually talk about sports and still be entertaining. It's happened before on a national scale, and it's happening every day on YouTube. The death of sports media is at the hands of a lot of people. You can blame Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, Colin Cowherd, Nick Wright, or whoever you want. But they all have played a part in ruining something that used to be really good. We now just have to be the change that we want to see. Whether that's creating your own content with common sense and reason, or simply not engaging with the mainstream media. Although knowing it's only gotten worse over the years, I'm not sure how much hope I have left. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the current state of sports media, and please leave a like on the video to support the channel. Also subscribe if you're new for more basketball videos just like this one.